Hey, there you are, and welcome to My Dude Watch. My name is Jason, and today we are talking Homage watches. I'll show you several variations of a legendary watch, and we'll see who did it better. These are watches I either own or have owned, so I do have experience with them, so this will be fun. You know the deal. Grab a snack, pull up a chair, and let's talk watches. Okay, we are ready to roll, but first, let's do a really quick wrist check. This is the Pagani Design PD 1731, and it is a stunner. Check out that yellow dial in all its glory. This is a beautiful watch with stainless steel, a strong mecha quartz movement, and I will be putting this watch on an aftermarket strap shortly. It came with a stainless steel bracelet, but I am a sucker for awesome leather straps. I hope you'll check it out. Okay, this is just for fun, so remember, you may not agree with me, and that's okay. It's actually more interesting when you don't. So let's get started. All right, there are several things that I consider in order to find out which one of these brands makes the best Seiko SKX007 Homage. I looked into each one of these watches and compared them according to build quality, finishing, and refinement. I also looked at the crystal. Is it sapphire? Does it have AR coating? I looked at the dial aesthetics like the embassies, the hands, and the logos. Are they printed or applied? And I want to know if the lume is better on one watch compared to the others. I also asked myself how the branding's reputation affects the feelings about the watch. So we are ready to go. This Seiko SKX may be the most Homage Seiko watch ever. How many SKX Homages have I owned? That would be 6. Tandorio, Cadison, Escapement Time, Heimdallr, Still Dive, and Islander. There are excellent things to say about each one of these, and I can't wait to compare them in the details. Let's begin with what they have in common. Each one of these divers are made of 316L stainless steel. Most have a nice piece of sapphire crystal and 200 meters of water resistance. They each utilize a Seiko NH35 or 36 automatic movement, so that is a nice foundation to start with. The Tandorio and Cadison have done a good job with workmanship and refinement, especially when considering their price point. But I want to point out a couple of things with these two submissions. The Tandorio has a 41 millimeter in diameter case with a lug-to-lug of 50 millimeters due to those male protruding end links. The Cadison is a bit smaller at 40 millimeters in diameter, but a whopping 4.5 millimeters shorter because they utilized inverted end links. That is a clear advantage for the Cadison because most people can wear this watch. When comparing bezel operations, I was definitely disappointed in both of these watches. The Tandorio bezel isn't quite where it should be. There's a ratchety and grainy feel to it, which kind of gives off a cheap vibe. It just feels terrible in operations. There is some backplay as well, and to add insult to injury, unfortunately the bezel does not line up to the dial. I'll show you a picture right here. The Cadison, while being affordable, has received some pretty good reviews from customers. However, many have experienced the same issues I have with the Cadison. The bezel just feels loose, like it's just a poor quality. There's no resistance to speak of, and it makes me feel like it could be knocked out of position fairly easy. It lines up okay, but you have to work with it to feel satisfied. There's just too much backplay here as well. Now, let me be clear, both the Cadison and Tandorio make good Homage watches, but my experience with these two watches have not been very good. One other thing I want to mention, the Cadison doesn't have a pip on the bezel, and even the triangle doesn't light up. I believe that's a design oversight from Cadison and a big disappointment. The Cadison and Tandorio both have an NH35 automatic movement with a date complication, and as a reminder, you get sapphire crystal and a solid 200 meters of water resistance. There is also a 2.5 times magnification Cyclops on the Cadison. These two models, the Cadison and Tandorio, are pretty good for the money, but most definitely a tier level down from the others on the list. But I do want to remind you that these are $60 and $70 Homage watches, and they have to sacrifice somewhere. Okay, let's move on to the Escapement Time SKX. This Homage is pretty faithful when it comes to the dimensions. It's around 42 millimeters in diameter, and if you measure just the bezel, it's right at 41 millimeters. The lug-to-lug is compact as well. It measures 45 millimeters, and that is a great size for people to wear. It also has a nice finish to it, both brushed and polished workmanship. I like the sign crown at the fore, and it transitions nicely from the side of the case to the top. I do wish it had sapphire. Mine was outfitted with mineral crystal and there was no AR coating. The reflections of this watch were pretty distracting and it really hurts in all light conditions. Now, why did I get rid of this watch? First of all, it's a 60-click bezel and I don't really have a big problem with that, but when I rotated the bezel, it would get about halfway and it felt like it sloped upward and would stick. I really don't think it was a QI issue with this specific watch because I've heard other people having the same issues. This watch also had backplay and misalignment issues as well. The rest of the watch I really liked. I love the way it looks and it kept perfect time. Lume was great, but I cannot overlook the bezel operations. Now, this is a solid watch from Escapement Time, and I have a ton of faith in their designs and build quality, but this SKX just doesn't measure up. Okay, so that leaves 3 absolute bangers. I really like all 3 of these. I'm talking about Steel Dive, Heimdallr, and of course, Islander. The Islander has nearly the same dimensions as the original SKX. They are so similar, in fact, that it can take many of the SKX aftermarket parts if anyone is interested in modding. Heimdallr is the lead horse here when it comes to remaking classical Seiko models. However, the SKX007 is by far their most popular. All 3 of these watches are improved over the original SKX in several ways. I know it's a different time, and by no means is that meant to be negative towards the legendary watch, but there's no question regarding the premium parts and performance. These 3 are superior. From Islander and Heimdallr, you get the hand winding and hacking of the NH36 movement, so you will have a day-date complication as well. All 3 of these watches provide you with AR coating, sapphire crystal, and excellent lume. You also get a very nice ceramic bezel insert and 200 meters of water resistance. Not to mention, all 3 of these bracelets are better than the Seiko's OEM bracelet. The Steel Dive is powered by the NH35, so you get hacking, but no day complication, just the date. I will say a lot of Homage watches try to hide or mix in their logo, so it's not as noticeable, but not Steel Dive. They proudly flaunt it on the dial, the case back, and the crown. Anywhere they can display it, they do it, and no matter what you think of the logo, you know it's a Steel Dive at the end of the day. The Islander has drilled lugs for easier bracelet and strap changes, and all 3 of these bracelets are worlds apart better than the original. Heimdallr and Islander give you a bracelet with solid links, end links, and a milled clasp. Unfortunately, the one outfitted on my Steel Dive did not have solid end links. So, what separates these 3 watches? There are a lot of similarities for sure, and the differences are slight in most cases. They all have really good build quality, and my experience with these 3 models leads me to believe that Islander, although slight, has the best build quality and finish of the 3. And it's all in the details. The refinement of the Islander is better than the average tool watch. But what of bezel operations of these 3 watches? Firstly, the Islander has a better bezel feel and operations in both Steel Dive and Heimdallr. It's clearly more precise and even tactical in its operations. Again, all 3 meet the expectations of what a bezel should be, but Islander is just a bit more precise. They all lined up properly with both Steel Dive and Islander holding steady with no backplay. The Heimdallr has a little backplay, but nothing to be too concerned about. Also, I believe the anti-reflective coating used on the Islander is of higher quality than that of the Heimdallr and the Steel Dive. I don't know that for a fact, but I do know the visibility with the Islander is simply better in all lighting conditions. I like the lug design on the Islander. It's more aggressive taper on the lugs, which just looks awesome. I realize oftentimes liking a watch more than another is very subjective, but to me the Islander just looks better and is more refined. The brushwork on the case is outstanding, the build quality is incredible, and the watch offers a ton of value for the money. I will acknowledge with Steel Dive, Heimdallr, and Islander, I honestly don't think you can go wrong. There are advantages to the Islander when it comes to customer service though. Long Island Watches, which owns and creates Islander watches, have an incredibly responsive service department, which strengthens their reputation. In my mind, Steel Dive will get an honorable mention here, mostly because it offers the most value for the money, but I believe Islander stands out in both quality and refinement. So, I believe Islander is the best on the list, with Steel Dive and Heimdallr a step behind. Now, they are all excellent, and I wouldn't argue with you if you thought any of the 3 would be better than the others, but I believe it's Islander. Okay, we talked about some awesome Homage watches today. We're going to put links in the description. So if you want to know more, go there, check it out, see if they're right for you. If you decide to make a purchase, just remember, My Dude Watch does get a small commission, but you don't pay more. Hey, you made it to the end of another video. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate you watching. If you saw anything today that you liked or enjoyed, please take the time to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It'll only take you a second, but it really does help. Okay, I've been told to wrap it up, so we are going to close the show. But thanks again for watching. My name is Jason with My Dude Watch, and we'll see you next time. But wait, don't forget, dudes can't be late.